end your program, finger in the air, the crowd is cheering. What's going through your mind?
I mean, I was still in that program. It was really awesome. The crowd was so hype, and just the energy in the arena, that's why I skate.
Do you feel nerves? Seriously, because I feel like we need to bottle this Alysa Liu just vibe you've got going on.
I mean, not really, but I feel like after everything I went through the last time I was a skater, it'd be really hard to be nervous.
And I mean, I think in a games where we've talked so much about the pressure that athletes are under, when I was watching you skate last night, there was just so much joy and freedom that feels like your secret weapon. How are you able to block all that noise out?
I really protect my peace, truly, and I hang out with my friends and family a lot. They keep me grounded, and I say no a lot.
What's something you've said no to recently?
A lot. And I don't really reply to a lot of, I don't go online too much, so it's easy to block out that noise.
There's a lot of folks that watched you last night that are saying, I want to be the next Alysa. What would be your advice of balancing the need to grind, to put in those hours, to specialize in something, but also prioritize that fun?
Yeah, I mean, like, I love working hard and pushing myself to the limit, but in order to do that, I need rest and stuff like that. So I've understood myself really well over my life, basically. I've really gotten to know myself, and to do that, I just put myself in a ton of different situations. And so I'm able to tell if I'm at my limit or not.
You say you've gotten to know yourself a lot. What do you think is the most important thing that you learned from when you were originally skating to the time that you did decide to come back?
I learned way too much to talk about it just right now, to be honest. Yeah, it's hard to put into words, but hopefully one day I get to kind of share the whole thing and make it make sense.
Yeah. The comeback, of course, I've heard you say that it wasn't about getting the medal that's around your neck, but no one's going to ever be able to take this title away from you. So if it wasn't about the medal, how do you want to be remembered in this sport? What do you want your legacy to be?
I would say my story in it. I hope it's inspiring, and I hope it allows for others to break through more, I guess. And I want my programs to be known and remembered, the way I package them, my dresses even, and my style, all of that.
We have some folks in the Bay Area that we talked to earlier, our station out there. There's a lot of skaters that want to be the next Alysa. What would you want to say to them?
I would say don't try to be the next me. Just be yourself. And yeah, you could take inspiration. That's always important. But at the end of the day, take some time for yourself. Spend time alone. I think it really helped me.
And so, I mean, I think so many of us, whether it's athletes or just, regular folks like myself, you have those moments where you don't want to keep pushing at something, where there are dark moments. What would you want to tell your younger self in one of those moments, especially knowing you've got that around your neck right now?
I actually wouldn't tell my younger self a thing.
Why?
Because she's going to figure it out herself. I don't want to change anything.
I love that. And how are you going to celebrate once you have time to sleep and process it all?
I mean, I've already celebrated. Just my life in general is a celebration for everything I do. Yeah.
If your story gets shared, what's the title of the book or the movie in one word?
I don't have a good one yet.
There's time.
Yeah.
You have it there, the medal.
I have it here.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
This is your third gold.
Yeah, yes.
Does this one feel any different?
Yes, it does feel different. I mean, I think every Olympics I've been to 4 Olympics now, and every single experience has been wildly different. So this, every medal I've earned has meant something special, and I think yesterday, in this slalom race, it was really a symbol of the work that my team has put in, and my coaches, my staff, my family, all of the supporters, everybody back home, the sort of broader group and partners and everybody. We talk about the village it takes to bring an athlete to this level, and then even further to allow them to have the potential and the capacity and the capability to execute. And it's not easy. It's never given. And it took a lot of work and a lot of focusing from from everyone around me to be able to put this out there.
How about you, the work you did?
I mean, I think it goes without saying that I've dedicated at least 25 years of my life to be able to ski the way that I do. Like I said, it's not easy. This sport, ski racing, is such a precise sport with such fine margins, and every run that I take, my best runs, are some combination of full intensity, risk, totally on the limit, and somehow you manage to stay in the course. But even with this slalom race, I felt on both the first run and the second run, there was 3 or 4 different spots in my run that I could have been off the course in the blink of an eye.
You felt you were that close to the edge?
I felt like I was that close to the edge.
Because you were pushing yourself harder than you were comfortable with?
No, it's kind of what fast skiing demands. So with ski racing, and especially with slalom skiing, you can attack the gate at a different angle. And if you go rounder around the gate, it's a more conservative line. You bend the ski less and you produce less force in the turn. So even going from one turn to the next, it's a slower tempo. And so as a human, you can manage that visually, you can manage the input better, the proprioception and the control. And the world's best slalom skiing right now is, there's no room to be conservative in the way you tactically approach the gates. And I don't know if I'm putting this in a way that people will understand, but you have to go straight at that thing. You point your ski tips straight at it. And somehow you need to end up about this far away from it.
Well, you fly toward it.
While you're flying towards it, going about somewhere between 55 to 60 kilometers an hour.
And when you see the very talented German skier right in front of you hit that first gate, how much does that rattle you?
Yeah, I mean, I think I was purposely staying a little bit back from the start, so I didn't see her make the mistake, but I saw her standing on the slope. When I pulled into the start gate, I looked down at the slope, and usually that's a moment for me to recenter and basically to bring out the mentality, to say I am here now and I want to take this on. And I saw Lena. She's a close friend. I've been competing with her for years and years, and I was there for her first World Cup podium in, I think it was in Ofterschwang, Germany maybe. This was years ago, and I've gone through my ups and downs in career, and she's gone through hers, and she's fought her way back to be a medal contender in both the GS and the slalom here. I think the work she's done is incredible, and I saw her standing there on the mountain. She was so close, and I wanted to be like, Lena, it's okay.
But does that make you think, oh my gosh, this can happen to me too? Or you just put that out of your brain?
I think depending on the situation, that those kind of moments can really make me second guess myself for any athlete. But for this slalom race, actually the mentality that I wanted to comfort her was a little bit of a sign in my head that it was I know what I'm doing. It's a good reminder that on top of everything else, you have the whole course ahead of you and all of this, everything to manage. Don't forget about the first gate either, remember that you have to get around the first gate. It's a good reminder, but in the end, I felt really trusting in my capability because of the work my team has done with me. And to feel like I could balance the emotions of watching Lena in that moment of heartbreak and to want to be there for her and to still manage my own moment. In the end, I don't know if it means something besides I was in a good mental space.
Can you describe the Olympics level pressure? You've won 108 World Cups. You know what it's like to race. How different is the Olympics?
I think the Olympics is different in every way except from start to finish. You know, like
The race itself?
the race itself, skiing is skiing. In ski racing, every single day is different. So we rarely see the same snow conditions. It's just a sport of ever-changing, uncontrollable variables. The course set, the distances between gates change, the way the course is set straight or very turny changes, the hills, the terrain, the snow conditions, obviously the weather and the sunlight and all of this variability. So we are constantly practicing being flexible and pliable and still learning to sort of take control of gravity in the right moment. So when I say that, you know, between the start and the finish, it's ski racing, that also innately, that like implies that every single day is different.
But then when you add the Olympics on top of that, how does it change everything? Or does it change everything?
It does. It does in the preparation. For me, after 3 other Olympics and all of the different experiences I've had, I know what it feels like to win gold, and I know what that can do for your career. It changes the trajectory of how you're able to work in markets and how you're able to promote your sport, how you're able to succeed and set up a life for yourself. And those are really important things. But it's not why I'm doing this. So coming here, I came here for the turns between the start and finish. I came here to show up with my skiing and mentality. And it just took a lot of mental work and preparation and communication with my team and helping them understand the experiences I've been having, because for sure there's a response. No matter what way your result goes, there's a reaction. And it's a reaction that you don't get in World Cup. If I was 4th in a World Cup race, people would say, you'll get him next time. And they move on. And in the Olympics, it's like clickbait titles and headlines and articles for quite some time. But this period of time, I just didn't go on social media. I unsubscribed from all the articles and all the publications that I normally follow.
To try to block everything out?
Yeah, just to create a bubble around myself and my team together so we could show up with like unity and cohesion. And we've been so communicative. They know what my concerns were. And really the concerns are criticism in the face of showing up with an underwhelming performance.
You've admitted you were scared going into this.
Yeah.
In a way, you could look at you and say, how can she still be scared? She's got other gold medals. Every time I say your name, I say the winningest alpine skier of all time.
Yeah.
Why do you think why do you get scared coming in?
I think it's scary because for me personally, I care what people think. And everybody talks about, well, not everybody, but it's a common theme you see these days, especially on social media. All the influencers are out there, and many are talking about, for my mental health, I'm going to cut toxic people out of my life. I'm not going to listen to the haters. New Year's resolution, I just don't care what people think. I don't know how you can flip that switch. And I've been through it, knowing that people will say their own narratives, they create their own storyline about my sport that's not based in reality. And it frustrates me to no end to see all of the incredible performances of athletes at the Olympics across all sports, whether they're winning a medal or they're not winning a medal, but it's taken determination and hard work and effort and sacrifice, and every single athlete is spectacular. And to see any amount of criticism for what wasn't accomplished versus just highlighting what was. But then as an athlete, you have to separate yourself from the idea that titles are important and views and readers, and that's what keeps this world spinning. That's what keeps the businesses in check. And you have to be able to separate yourself from that. And I just knew I wouldn't be able to do that in these last 2 weeks, so I didn't look.
You talked a lot about your dad and thinking about your dad around that winning run, those winning runs yesterday. Yeah. I wonder if your gold medal win, this third, does that help you in any way in the grief in dealing with the loss of your dad?
I don't think it helps. but I think the journey I've been on to accept this moment happened long before the moment.
To accept winning?
Yeah. Well, winning an Olympic medal without him here was terrifying to me before I knew that it was. In Beijing, I didn't know that I was scared of that. I didn't realize what was going on in my head that, and that's not a reason why I made mistakes or didn't finish in Beijing. Like that was its own isolated experience. But when I walked away from Beijing, I realized there was some small bit of relief that I didn't have to experience a world where I can win an Olympic medal and my dad is not alive.
Because you wanted him there.
I wanted him, I want him to be alive. Like, I want him there. I want him on the other side of the phone. I want him there for my mom. I want him there for my family. I want him there to see my brother have his first child in the next month or so. You know, I want him there to walk me down the aisle. I don't want life without my dad alive. But here we are 6 years into it, and that's still awful. And it's been a journey just in the last couple years, and a lot of, like, I work with a psychologist regularly, and she was here for these whole 2 weeks, and we had daily conversations. But, you know, it was back in, I think, probably July when I first talked to her about these concerns around the Olympics and saying, like, I don't know that I want to win.
What a weird thing to think about. To even be able to
be afraid
accept.
to win, like, you know, what athlete, if you have the capability of doing something like that, to execute a run of slalom this way, why wouldn't you just take it? But I'm in this mental space to say I'm afraid of this because I don't want to know what this life feels like without him here. And so it's been a journey just to get to the moment where I could take this race day and say, I do want this moment. I want to execute the skiing, and I also want him here.
I have to let you go, but I have to ask about 2030. Are we going to see, do you think about the future?
I think about the future a lot, but I don't have any answers about. 4 years seems like a long time, but I know it goes by in the blink of an eye. So we'll see. I won't say no, but I won't say yes either.
Can I just tell you one other thing? Jack and I, cameraman, were standing at the finish line. We were nervous before. I'm like, I don't even know this woman.
I don't know what's happening, but I can feel my heartbeat in my bum.
I can't imagine what it was like to be in your shoes, in your boots.
It's wild. I don't know. I don't even know. Yeah. But I mean, it's just, you show up there and you're in the start and I felt my entire team with me in that moment. And that was amazing.
You did it. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You have built the brand as the quad god, and then that identity took on a life of its own. Is there more external or internal pressure that you feel?
I would say it's a little more internal because kind of just trying to live up to the name of quad god is already much, and I think I can also say that it's also external because that's kind of the expectation that I put on myself that everyone would want me to, live up to. But in the end, I always trust my instincts and trust what I want to do, so I can sometimes block out all of that noise.
And so take me back to that moment in the free skate. You singled the quad axel. You came back and you did another beautiful quad, though. What was that internal negotiation of pushing forward, wanting to do that, but also the reality of the moment setting in?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, going into the competition, I knew that I did not need a perfect skate to, be satisfied with my result. So, when that mistake happened on the axle, I was like, okay, just kind of brush it off. I have to move on to the next step. It's part of our jobs as skaters that we can't really focus too much on the mistakes we made, or else that really gets in our heads. So we really just have to go on to the rest of the program.
And so to that point, I mean, you have pushed the sport forward, doing the quad axel, doing 7 quads in one program, but arguably you didn't need that. Would you ever consider paring back, or is it really important for you to push the sport forward?
I think it's more important for me to just push the sport forward because I think a lot of people will remember, what the reason was for the sport growth again. It's, a lot of the times it's not a lot of people talk about the Olympic champions anymore, and it's more about what image you leave for the sport. So I think that's honestly a bigger goal that I want to push, is just, revolutionizing the sport. And of course, with being the first person on the quad axel, I think I would be much known as, the quad god, as we say, rather than, winning a gold medal.
Yeah, I talked to Timothy Gable the other day, and he said, I never thought I'd see one, and he's so impressed that you've been able to do that day in and day out. So take me back, though, to the end of the free skate. Obviously, you were very emotional. It's a tough thing to experience. What did that moment teach you, though, that winning never could?
I mean, it's funny you say I was very emotional, because I think it's more of a natural feeling that's what happened, and that's our natural reaction. It's not necessarily I chose to be emotional. It's just something that I needed to happen in the moment, because in the end, we're all human beings. It's, we're not trained out there to be robots, and, people from, the outside world might think that we're so perfect, we're so, this is what we do and it should be no problem. But in the end, it's really hard physically, mentally, emotionally. There's so much that goes into the sport, and the people don't really realize what's happening. So for something like this to happen, I think it really gives people some hope that, oh, I can relate to him because he had, a bad day in his life. So I think a lot of people go through good days and bad days. So I think it was actually more of a way for people to relate and see that, this is truly incredible what we do.
And you're going to compete at the World Championships. Hopefully we're going to see you compete over the next 4 years. What are you going to do differently to prepare, if at all?
Honestly, I think there's not much different I can do. It's really just going about, knowing that you have to get up and skate the next day. It's part of our jobs and something that we like to do. And of course, I can take time and really kind of understand what happened and what went wrong in the skate, so that in the future it doesn't happen. But in the end, I can't really live on it for a long time, because it's not worth it. It's in the past. It's already done. So it's always, thinking of the next step into the future.
So set it and forget it, kind of. World Championships, is the focus gold or a clean skate?
Every competition I go to, my focus is a clean skate. That's no matter what happens, or no matter who's there, no matter if there's going to be a person that might be 4 times better than me in anything I do. It's always just to go there, have a successful skate, and skate, just, enjoy the skate. And I really feel like a clean skate for me would make me happy, no matter what the result will be.
So the ladies are going to skate their long program tomorrow. We saw you in the audience watching them yesterday. What's your message to them as they take the ice?
I'm just so proud for all of them who have made so much effort and determination to come here to the Olympics and really show themselves on the ice. It's such an honor to be representing Team USA with them as well. And all of us are really close and have each other's backs and support. So I really want to wish them the best for tomorrow, and I'll definitely be watching.
And if we could rewind 2 weeks, what would be the one thing you would want to say to yourself ahead of these games?
Honestly, just be prepared for the worst, because you learn a lot more from failure than you do winning. And that's something a life lesson that I've always stuck with, and also the concept of everything happens for a reason. And that's something that I'll also live with. It's one of my mottos that I like to remind myself. I have it on my phone every day. I wake up in the morning, the first thing, that's what my phone says. So it's just really something that's really sentimental to me, and I think everyone should try to embrace that.
And just really quickly, the backflip doesn't get you points, but our viewers are obsessed. Why do you do it?
It's honestly just a really big wow factor, because it's so different compared to the skating jumps that we do. A lot of the regular audience cannot really understand the difference between a triple and a quad jump, because it happens so fast, and it's just, both of them can look pretty easy for the naked eye for someone who has no experience in skating. But a backflip is something that everyone is very familiar with, the concept, the idea, or even if they have done it before, whether it be on a trampoline, off the ice, or double, or it's something that's just very relatable for everyone. So realizing that people see that and they go, wow.
And the audience certainly does when you do it. Thank you so much, Ilia.
The U.S. has some new hardware after a pair of gold medal wins on skates yesterday in Milan. 20-year-old Alysa Liu executed a joyful free skate. It was so fun to watch her. That earned her a gold medal in figure skating. And the U.S. women's hockey team defeated Canada in a stunning overtime comeback win to take home their 3rd Olympic gold. We are so excited to bring in Kelly Pannek. She is a forward for the U.S. women's hockey team and a newly minted gold medalist. Kelly,
congratulations.
Congrats. How are you feeling?
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a crazy, I don't even know how long it's been since we won, but it's just been so fun to celebrate with this team. It's been such an incredible ride, not just at this Olympics, but this entire year, the last 4 years building up to this moment. And it's really just all about the people you get to share it with.
So take us back to the game. It was a hard-fought win. Was there ever a doubt in your mind as you went into overtime that you might not win?
No, I think for spectators, it was probably a little bit more stressful. In the moment, it's stressful as well, but I think that was something with this team that we always just had that incredible belief. Even as it was getting, in the winding down time of the 3rd period, we knew it was just a matter of time before someone got that first one. And then going into overtime, we felt really good about where our team was at and just kind of kept trusting what we were doing.
How did you guys celebrate? What did you do after the game?
Oh, gosh. We were on the ice for a good bit, taking pictures, taking it all in, and then kind of carried that into the locker room, which is truly some of the most special times, being in a team sport, getting to share that with all the people that you've done it with. And then we're able to include our family and friends at the Winter House. So it's really special just to be able to, again, it's the team, but it's also the team behind the team with your friends and family. And we've had great support here from them this entire tournament. So again, to celebrate with them is really special.
So, Kelly, as you know, women's hockey has grown, exploded here in the United States. I know it's, played in Canada and in some of the Scandinavian countries. You probably started out playing in, I guess, boys' leagues until you finally, or maybe you didn't, but I know that was like 20 years ago when I was a kid. If there was a girl, my sister wanted to play hockey, she had to play with boys. And now her son, my nephew, is a big-time hockey player, and he says, no, the girls have their own team, and it's a normal thing for them. But I think back in the day, it wasn't always like that.
Yeah, you're right. I grew up playing boys hockey basically until high school, and it is really cool now to see girls being able to play girls hockey growing up. And not only that, but they have something to aspire to be, and whether it's an Olympian or to be a professional player in the PWHL back in North America. So it is such an exciting time, I think, to be a young girl playing hockey. And, if you're an American, you have 23 great players to look up to and aspire to be.
What does it feel like around your neck?
It's heavy. That's something I think that every time you get, a medal put around your neck, I think that's the first thing is, wow, it's heavy. But we'll carry this weight whenever we can.
Don't jump, apparently.
No, apparently don't jump because it's a piece of junk. But Kelly, before you go, you'll be back in 28? Or wait, no, not 28. That's summer.
We'll see.
30.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, we'll take it one day at a time from now on. So.
All right, cool.
Hold up your medal. Show us. She's a beaut.
Team USA.
Oh,
congratulations.
Thank you so much for joining us, Kelly Pannek.
Thank you.
Pannek, thank you.
First of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
Do you have your medal?
I have the replacement medal that they gave me.
You had to send it back.
Well, so they took it back when it broke, and then they couldn't fix it, so they gave me this one. And then I just found out today that I think they did fix mine, and so I think we're going to trade this one back for the original.
Wow,
so, yeah.
Gold medal.
Yeah, so it's cool, but it's not engraved down here.
Is it heavy?
Yeah, it's pretty heavy. It's over a pound.
Oh, wow, it's really heavy. I won't drop it,
Yeah.
don't worry. It's cool, huh?
Yeah, they're definitely cool. I think that because they were so heavy, the ribbons couldn't really hold them.
You were the first of then we kept hearing from other athletes who are breaking their medals.
Yeah, it's definitely been a big thing. And then, yeah, I mean, it's like a little disappointing because they're like, don't jump in them. And it's like you're sort of telling people not to celebrate in their medals, which is all anybody wants to do. So,
Where does your medal live at night?
It's just living in this little baggie right now, but I'm gonna knit it a little home.
You're a knitter?
I am an avid knitter. Yeah, I knit all these things, and I knit a new hat or headband for every race. It's a big superstition of mine.
Really? You have to have something do you have to have something you've done well with, or something you've never worn? What's
So something I've never worn before.
But
I say that once I've worn one in the finish, then it's burned.
What do you do with them?
Well, right now they're piling up in my bags, but I've been wanting for a long time to like auction some of them off and like have people buy them and donate the proceeds to charity. Because yeah, I don't have anything else to do with them.
You knitted this one you're wearing.
Yeah, this is the one that I knit for the downhill, and then I have a new one for tomorrow for Super G.
This was this is what you were.
This is what I had in the finish for the downhill. Yeah. So,
Cool.
Yeah, so I tried to do a little America themes for the Olympics, and then I do some regular ones too.
You dedicated this win to your dad.
Yeah, I mean, my dad's been through a lot recently. He couldn't come to the games. It was really hard the past few weeks. My birthday was January 19th, which was the day that they were selecting the team. My mom called me that he'd been in an accident, and he broke his leg. He has a knee replacement, and they had to replace the knee replacement, and he found out that he can never ski again. So he taught me to ski, and that really like made me feel a lot of things, because I think about like what would happen if somebody told me that I could never ski again. And so my heart goes out to him, and yeah, I thought that the best thing that I could do was try to ski as fast as I could. Yeah.
Were you thinking about him before your gold medal that day? What
Yeah,
goes through your mind?
I mean, in a whole day, there's a lot of thoughts. I mean, yeah, I thought about him that morning and wanting to do, him justice. He was heartbroken to not be able to come to the games. My parents were a little bit overwhelmed by the logistics to try to go to my first games in Pyeongchang. And they were like, hope you go to another. And then obviously COVID and everything with Beijing, and they're like, hope you make another. And then, leading up to this games, they were really excited. They had tickets, they had a place to stay. And my dad is like the biggest Olympic nerd in the whole family. Like he watches everything and, can tell you like, all the winners of the decathlon that have ever come from the US and everything like that. And so I think that, he was really excited to get to actually go to the Olympics. And unfortunately that was no longer possible for him to travel, and was really hard for him. So hope I make another.
Did your mom come?
She did not. She stayed to take care of him.
Wow. What was that phone call like when you called them after winning?
It was cool. I mean, my parents are very, they're like pretty chill. So they were like, how you doing? And I was
How
like,
about that goal?
Good. So yeah, they were pretty like relaxed about it, but they were like, yeah, we were crying, and they were really excited.
I was there at the finish line yesterday. I was there at the finish line after the women's combined. You go out and you hug Mikaela and you talk. I wondered what you talked about, what you said.
I said, I know you tried your best and it's gonna be okay. Like, she felt a lot. It's hard in combined, right? We come into this as individual athletes, right? We've been individual athletes our whole life, and there's a new pressure to having a team event, right? There's pressure from the downhill skiers, because if I mess up in DNF, then she doesn't even get to run.
Did not finish as DNF.
Yeah, did not finish. And part of what has enticed a lot of people into this event is also that they get to check out the slope before the slalom race, which you haven't been able to do in the past. And so, you don't want to like not give Mikaela the opportunity to like even ski on the slope. But to then take a winning run and bring it home is really hard. And we know that at the World Championships last year, Paula was in the opposite position. She was running last, and she ended up fourth with my great teammate, Lauren Masuga. And coming into this event, when they created the event, everybody thought that the slalom skiers were going to be the huge deciding factor in where everybody would end up, because the slalom margins are a lot wider than the downhill margins. And that hasn't been the case. It wasn't the case last year at the World Championships, and it wasn't the case here, that the speed skiers were an integral piece in making sure that their slalom skiers were set up. And then there were a lot of slalom skiers who, even if they weren't on paper the best slalom skier, if their speed skier had a great run, suddenly they were spurred to new heights. And some people cracked under the pressure. Obviously, yesterday there were tons of DNFs. So, I totally understand where there's growing pains, and I think in 2 or 3 Olympics, hopefully we're still doing this event, and I think at that point people will be a lot more used to how it's going to run, rather than what we're experiencing right now, which is that at best everybody's done it once, and so figuring out that handoff, figuring out the pressure for that, I think is a challenge. And I have no regrets about what happened. I was saying maybe I'm just too good of a loser, that I've lost too much of my career, but I know that it happens, and I don't hold any of that against anyone, because I know that this sport, there's so many variables, and there were variables yesterday too that weren't necessarily in our favor, and we went out and we both gave it our all, and it didn't happen, but that's okay.
How do you deal with the pressure? Do you have a way to diffuse it?
Well, for one, I personally view success in my own kind of bubble, which is going out there, prepping 100%, working my ass off all summer, and trying to execute my plan to the best of my abilities, knowing that sometimes things go off the rails and don't go to plan, but always trying to come back and never holding a piece back in the hopes that it'll be good enough.
Have you talked to Lindsay since Sunday?
She texted me. She said, congratulations. I know what she's going through is hard, and I think she's dealing with a lot. So we haven't spoken on the phone or anything, but I wish her the best.
I watched you looking up at that hill. We were there as well as she was being taken off, and you had your hands up to your face. You were in such a difficult point. You had just raced and you were ahead, but this teammate of yours was clearly hurting.
Yeah, I mean, I came here in 2022. I had torn my ACL. We had one of the final World Cups before the Olympics here. I felt that I needed to test that ACL, but I really wanted a medal, and I had no idea if the opportunities would come back around 4 years later. And so I competed. I did one training run. It went pretty well. I did another training run, and I went off of a jump, not the same jump, but a jump here, and landed, felt a giant crack, heard a crack in my knee. I had essentially obliterated all of the cartilage in my knee. And at that point, I had more discussions with doctors, and they were like, well, I mean, you can try to keep going. We told you could try to keep going with an ACL. We knew it was risky, and now it's more risky, and you're in a worse place. And I realized at that point that I shouldn't do it. But I had the opportunity. I knew that if I rehabbed well, I was pretty sure that I could come back for another games. And it's obviously really difficult to miss any opportunity when you're at the Olympics and you have the prospect of winning a medal, because they don't come around that often. But I knew that at least they could come around again. And I think that, one of the hardest parts too was that I I didn't tell anybody that I didn't have an ACL because I didn't want to deal with the armchair critics and the Brads, Chads, and, you know, Zads that are sitting on their couch saying, you know, I tore my ACL playing lacrosse in high school and I couldn't walk. How can you conceivably think that you could ever do the Olympics without this? Like, you are risking so much. And I was like, I'm not gonna tell anybody about that. Like, I was like, this is between me and my PT and God. And I had people that said that I was insane to keep going. And I was like, I'm gonna prove you wrong. Like, watch when I come back in 3 weeks with an Olympic medal. And I didn't.
It was just too tough.
And to pull out one of the hardest pieces was because I still, like hell, wanted to stick it to them. And it was funny because there were medical people that had such bedside manner that they were actually causing me to want to do the opposite of what they wanted me to do. And I was like, this makes no sense. Like, you're not being a good healthcare provider because you're causing me to want to risk even further injury just to prove you wrong. And I had to swallow that, you know, they weren't right, but I was still going to pull out. And, you know, and I saw the armchair critics typing in their tweets and, you know, and then I still see them and I feel for the fact that you just want to prove them wrong and you can't.